Once upon a time, in a certain village, there lived a wealthy man who owned a donkey. The man himself was very simple hearted, but he had 4 sons, each one more foolish and idiotic than the last. To the father, however, all four were equally dear. When the father passed away, the four brothers gathered to decide what to do with the donkey. The eldest brother said, "Brother, father raised and cared for it, so we should continue to look after it." But the second brother argued, "One donkey is not enough for the needs of all four of us. It would be best to divide it equally among ourselves." They finally decided to kill the donkey and cut it into 4 pieces so that each brother would get one leg of the donkey. But then a new problem arose. How should they divide the rest of the body? As they stood there, calculating and confused, a wise merchant happened to pass by. He overheard their discussion and asked, "Hey, young men, what is causing you so much distress?" One of the four replied, "We are 4 brothers and we cannot figure out how to divide this donkey into equal parts. Please suggest a solution." The merchant smiled and said, "The easiest solution is to sell the donkey and divide the money you receive among yourself." The 4 brothers were overjoyed to hear this and immediately set off towards the city to sell the donkey. When night fell on the road, they set up camp beneath a tree in the forest and fell into a deep sleep. In the middle of the night, a thief arrived, quietly untied the donkey's rope and led it away. A little later, the third brother woke up. He saw the donkey was gone. He woke the rest of his brothers and cried in panic, "Oh no! The donkey has been stolen." The second brother stretched and said, "Never mind, Kamil Khan must have taken it. We will look for it when we wake up in the morning." When they awoke in the morning, they set out to look for Kamil Khan. On the way, they noticed Kamil footprints on the ground. The first brother exclaimed, "Look at this! Kamil tracks." The second one said, "Brother, this Kamil must be blind in one eye." The third added, "And it must be lame in one leg." The fourth chimed in, "Oh, and it must definitely be carrying stolen goods." They continued walking, discussing these observations. They soon saw a distraught camel owner approaching them from a distance. He asked them, "Brothers, have you seen a camel pass this way?" The first brother said, "Yes." "The one blind in one eye?" The second said, "The one that was lame in one leg." The third said, "And the one carrying stolen goods?" The owner was astonished. He said, "You are absolutely right, but how do you know all these details?" "You must have stolen my camel. Come, let's go to the king. He will decide." The 3 men arrived at the king's court. The king listened to their story and asked the brothers, "How could you describe the camel so accurately when you claim you never saw it?" The 4 brothers looked at each other, and the eldest one boastfully declared, "Maharaj, we possess secret knowledge. Everything was revealed to us through that hidden wisdom." The king didn't believe them. He thought, "These men seem like first-rate fools." So he decided to test them. The king had a muskmelon brought in and locked inside a chest. He then asked the brothers, "Tell me, what is inside this chest?" The brothers looked at each other again, perplexed. The first brother whispered, "Well, it's a round-shaped thing." The second said, "Yes, and it has seeds inside." The third declared, "It must be a very large cucumber." The fourth quickly interjected, "Why don't you just say that the chest contains a muskmelon?" When the king opened the chest, there was indeed a muskmelon inside. The king was convinced that these brothers truly possessed secret knowledge. The king told the camel owner, "Go, search for your camel yourself." And he summoned Kaluk Khan. Kaluk Khan confessed the truth to the king that he had stolen the donkey. The king ordered Kaluk Khan to pay the price of the donkey. The 4 brothers, chest puffed with pride, bought some sheep and goats with the money from the donkey and returned towards their village. On the way, they entered a dense forest. Exhausted from the heat, they lay down to sleep under a large tree. Little while later, one brother woke up. He saw the sheep chewing the cud and some goat kids frolicking about. He was terrified. He woke his brothers panting and said, "Run! These sheep are planning to attack us, and the goats are breaking the trees." Without a second thought, they abandoned all their sheep and goats and ran for their lives. When they finally stopped far away and caught their breath, one brother started counting. 1, 2, 3. They all took turns counting, but each time they forgot to count themselves, and the tally stopped at 3. They began to weep, convinced that one of their brothers was lost. Just then, a man on horseback passed by. He heard their lament and smiled. He said, If I complete your count, what reward will you give me? The brothers happily replied, We will become your slaves. The horseman took each one by the hand and counted. 1, 2, 3, 4. The four brothers were astonished and delighted. Wow, you are very clever. We are truly your servants now. The horseman brought them to his home and assigned them different tasks. One was given the task of serving the elderly grandmother. 2. The second was told to feed the livestock. 3. The third was asked to cut the wheat, and the fourth was assigned to guard the house. The brother serving the grandmother sat with a stick to ward off flies. Whenever a fly landed on the grandmother, he would swing the stick hard. The poor grandmother cried out in pain, and after several blows, she passed away. The brother thought she had fallen asleep and covered her with a sheet. The brother in charge of the livestock, thinking it was too much effort to feed the animals, slaughtered the oxen and buried their heads in the hay so they could feed themselves continuously. The brother, cutting the wheat in a hurry to finish the work, set fire to the field so the wheat would roast itself. The one guarding the house saw the neighbor's cat sneak in and drink some milk. He thought, It is God's will. The cat must have been hungry, and he let it go. When the horseman returned home, he saw his mother lying dead and bloody, the oxen slaughtered, the field burned to ashes, and silence in the house. Seeing the sheer stupidity of the fool, he slapped his forehead in disbelief. In his anger, he pushed all four out of the house and freed himself from their service forever. The moral of the tale, and so the horseman was finally free of the four foolish brothers. They walked away, having ruined everything they touched, yet they still believed they were victims of misfortune, never once grasping that their own utter lack of common sense was their greatest problem.